So the past couple of years, I've been taking a look at Affinity Photo versus Photoshop. And the past couple of years, I've basically brought both of these programs up on the computer, showed the side-by-sides, and helped those of you who are thinking about switching. Let's be honest, most of you thinking about canceling that Adobe subscription and switching over to Affinity. Now this year, I saw both companies with imminent launches and announcements of all this new stuff. We had Adobe Max, and then just a handful of days ago, Affinity came out with their big update. First thing I want to do is take a look at what was announced for Photoshop, since I feel like that's kind of like the defending reigning champion. So first I want to see what would keep us in that Adobe ecosystem, and then we'll take a look at the all-new Infinity and see what may pull us out of that. I should mention at this point that neither of these companies are affiliates of mine. There's no sponsors or anything like that. In fact, videos like this are only possible because of those of you who have supported by buying my own courses. So if you're a video editor interested in learning DaVinci Resolve, maybe you're switching from another program, you can check out my links down in the description. So when it comes to Adobe, the big new thing here is, like many other companies, it's all about AI. And this year we're seeing Adobe just increase their AI abilities through partnering with different AI models. So we've all seen generative fill now for a couple of years, and it just keeps getting better and better. But now you can actually use the Google's Nano Banana, the Gemini language model, Flux point 1, and of course a new version of the Firefly Fill and Expand, which is Adobe's own language model. I will say, after playing with the different language models, not once have I gotten the Nano Banana or Flux whatever to give me a good result. On a portrait, I wanted to like extend the hair on one side, so I made a selection over there, and then I tested out all 3 different language models. The 2 third-party ones basically just gave me what looked like if you saved a picture of hair and then just like slapped it in that area. The Firefly model still sometimes takes a handful of generations to get a selection that you really like. But for me, at least in my use cases of generating thumbnails and editing portraits and stuff like that, I'm not seeing any benefit to bringing in these third-party language models. The biggest thing for me that I think is the coolest feature that Adobe announced for Photoshop is the new Harmonize feature. This is where you have a photo, and then let's say you bring in another photo and you want to comp those 2 things together. Any person who has done compositing before knows that it can take hours to get everything from the perspective, the scaling, and then of course the lighting down. And Harmonize actually will remove the background of that photo, just keeping the subject, and then look at the lighting of the base photo and do its best to match those together, and actually give you, just like GenFill, a couple different options to pick from to get the lighting as close as possible. Again, it's not perfect, and this is a brand new feature, but seeing that is one of those tools that, hyper efficiency, and I'm all for it. That is the one feature that I saw that I was like, that may keep me around a little bit longer. Won't lie, it's real nice. Now we can see down here below, we're looking at the prices, and if you just want Photoshop, you're still sitting at basically $23, and that's if you join their super sneaky plan that I have to explain to people all the time, because there's actually multiple ways to get Photoshop. You can join things truly monthly, but the price will actually be a bit higher than what you see here, or this, you can join their annual plan, build monthly, and you save a little bit, but then let's say after 6 months you want to cancel. When you go into cancel, it's going to tell you, hey, before you go, we're going to charge you for the entire 6 months remaining in your annual contract. So just be mindful of that. If you go to sign up for Adobe, make sure you know that, like, okay, I'm saving a couple bucks, but I'm committing to that for a year, or I want true month to month and you're going to pay a bit more. So yeah. And if you want all of the Adobe apps, that is sitting at $70, which may be a couple bucks up from last year. It's not a dramatic change, but we all know it's still expensive. So perfect segue into Affinity. So for all the years that we've had Affinity Photo, Affinity Design. Now, because they've been purchased by Canva, I know a lot of Affinity people were kind of worried of like, what's going on here? Like, is this good? Is this bad? Well, it looks like we may have a potential amazing thing happening because Canva is so big, has so many users, and clearly doing well as a company that they've decided to tap into the prosumer market, definitely going after Adobe and making Affinity completely free. And they are advertising this everywhere as a no strings attached free. So I haven't actually downloaded it. I still have the old Affinity versions that, was nice. You paid for it once, then you had all future updates. This is even better, obviously, free right out the gate. Very similar to Blackmagic's design model, where they have DaVinci Resolve for free, but they have a studio version paid. There is stuff you can pay for within here, but first let's hit get Affinity and download it. So a caveat here for Affinity by Canva is to get it for free, you just have to log in with a Canva account. Which I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people hate that you have to do this. It's just such at a point where everyone has my data. I don't really care. I need to make a free account and take 30 seconds to set something up. That's fine. Just take it. All right, so we've logged in here and I'm gonna hit download for macOS. We can see that it is on Windows and the iPad app is coming soon. And that is very exciting because again, all of the Affinity apps are currently on the iPad, but this whole new version is coming there as well. And hopefully it'll be really seamless. And you can see, again, right at the top of their FAQs, is it really free? Yes, it's completely free. But again, there is paid stuff within it, but I think the way I've heard about it is really smart. Let's open up the new Affinity. All right, and we're just getting straight to it here. So the biggest change here is, again, they've kind of gone the DaVinci Resolve model route, where rather than having multiple separate programs, Affinity is all one thing. So at the very top, we can see vector, pixel, layout, and Canva AI. So these three is what is completely free. Use all the tools. There's no watermarks when you go to save your photos. And that's really cool. The vector is basically InDesign, giving you, vector images, not motion, I guess you could use for motion graphics, but I'm not a designer. Pixels, which is where I would live. This is your photography. This is the Photoshop equivalent alternative. And then layout would be the Illustrator equivalent, or like Figma, stuff like that. If you're building different layouts for web pages or magazines, everything. And here, we have a very similar Photoshop experience so far. Like this, to the average person, if you told them this was Photoshop, they would probably believe you. If I bring in this photo here, yeah, I mean, we got layers, object selection tool. All right, so machine learning models. So it looks like I turned some stuff on here. Photo create precise, detailed selection. So I wonder if this stuff isn't on by default, but it's still available, because right now it seems like creative companies have to take some sort of stance on AI. You have the creative purists who are like, don't give me any AI. I want to manually do everything like I always have. And then obviously you have the crowd of like, no, I got lots of photos to edit. I need every efficient tool that I can. And this at least gives you an ability here. And okay, we've reached our first paywall option here. So depth estimation. So basically if you want to create a depth map, if you colorize a black and white photo, super resolution, which is basically just upscaling, like that new Photoshop feature. So it looks like segmentation is the only one that is free here. So now you can make this selection and it picks up on an object easy enough. Do love that shortcuts pretty much work everywhere, and I can make changes. All right, so now I can turn on my selection and yeah, picks out subject pretty nicely. It's missing my eyelash. If I hit refine there, I get refine selection, and you can really go in. Nice. So if you're just into all the traditional tools that something like Photoshop has to offer, Affinity has come a long way. And now that it's completely free, if you're even on the fence of it or not, just download it. It's completely free. Try it out for a week. It reads and exports Photoshop files, so you can actually open your existing project, see how it plays around. and give it a couple days, because just like every other new piece of software, it's always going to feel clunky. That doesn't make it a bad piece of software, but all the basics are here. And then if you want the generative fill, which Affinity has never had, in the past 2 times I've made this video in the past 2 years, that kind of is always where the conversation seems to stop, of like, oh, you want gen fill and AI products? Okay, then Affinity is not for you. But now, because Canva has spent all this time building out those features in its consumer products, so now we can go over to Canva AI, and this is where you'd pay for Canva Premium. Because if I go to Generative Edit Tool, click on this, obviously I'm not a premium member yet, so this pops up. Let's see what it would cost. So I'm going to take me to a web page. So monthly, you get a free 30-day trial, cancel anytime. So this is a true month-to-month. Remind you before a trial ends. That's always nice. So it's $15 or $120 for the year. So it's not a world of difference. Again, you can join Photoshop annual monthly, annual plan broken down to monthly for $22. So basically $7 more. So it's a decent, you know, if you're really looking at the cost difference. And if you went month to month, you'd probably be paying double. It's probably like $30 a month. And so for basically half the price of Photoshop, you can get GenFill tools. Now, again, I imagine Photoshop's is still probably better. The harmonized tools, like it really depends how advanced you need it to be. But I imagine for most people, this is the solution, man. Like, you could go free most of the year, and then if you have a project that needs a lot of GenFill stuff, then, you know, you buy it for a month, you can cancel it the next. Like, it seems very freeing to get into the Canva kind of workspace. And trust me, I get it. Like, as much as I dog on Adobe, I've paid for Adobe products for over a decade. And yeah, so this is interesting times. We're seeing this crazy blend between professionals, prosumers, and consumers. Like, it used to be you'd have to pay $1,800 every 18 months for, you know, a copy of Photoshop. And then subscription plans changed that. And now you have these big companies offering a lot of professional tools for completely free. It's maybe a hot take, but I think it's never been a better time to get into the creative world. So there you have it. That is the 2025 look at Photoshop versus Affinity. I am super excited to see the comments on this video. What do you guys think? Which way are you swinging this year? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.